After the Fall by Dan Santat. A lesson with me, Miss Glass. Clip art by Whimsy Clips. Gotta start out with my shout outs. My Roselawn Lions, especially Tamar, Kennedy, and Iviana. I miss you all so much. Let's jump into today's book. Have you ever been afraid to try something after it didn't go well the first time? We've all been there. Maybe you got stung by a bee and now you're afraid to go out in your backyard. Or maybe you dropped the football and your team lost the game and you don't want to play anymore. Maybe you were jumping rope with your friends and you messed up and someone laughed at you and now you don't want to jump rope ever again. Maybe you found a book that you wanted to read, but it was just so hard that you gave up. Maybe you were drawing a picture and your brother laughed at you. You said, "I'm never going to draw again." Well, if you felt like this before, then this book is for you. In order to understand this book, you need a little background. You might already know this. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Hey guys, we're going to take a look at a really cool book today called After the Fall, How Humpty Dumpty Got Back Up Again. My name is Humpty Dumpty. This was my favorite spot, high up on the wall. I know it's an odd place for an egg to be, but I loved being close to the birds. Then one day I fell. I'm sort of famous for that part. Folks called it the Great Fall, which sounds a little grand. It was just an accident, but it changed my life. Fortunately, all the king's men managed to put me back together. Well, most of me. There were some parts that couldn't be healed with bandages and glue. After that day, I became afraid of heights. I was so scared that it kept me from enjoying some of my favorite things. I walked past the wall every day and I would think about climbing that ladder again. I really missed the birds and being high above the city, but I could never do it because I knew that accidents can happen. Eventually, I settled for watching the birds from the ground. It wasn't the same, but it was better than nothing. Then one day, an idea flew by. Making planes was harder than I thought. It was easy to get cuts and scratches, but day after day, I kept trying and trying. Until I got it just right. My plane was perfect and it flew like nothing could stop it. I hadn't felt that happy in a long time. It wasn't the same as being up in the sky with the birds, but it was close enough. Unfortunately, accidents happen. They always do. I almost walked away again, but then I thought about all the time I'd spent working on my plane and all the other things I'd missed. I decided I was going to climb that wall. But the higher I got, the more nervous I felt. I didn't want to admit it. I was terrified. Where his plane landed. I didn't look up. I didn't look down. I just kept climbing, one step at a time. Until I was no longer afraid. Maybe now you won't think of me as that egg who was famous for falling. Crack, crack. Hopefully you'll remember me as the egg who got back up. Take a minute and predict. What do you think is about to happen? Look, there's cracks. What are those? Learned to fly. Whoa, did you think that was going to happen? I sure didn't. Think for a minute. All that time, Humpty Dumpty wasn't just an egg. Look, the cracks, the feathers, the wings, the pants. He was a bird the whole time. So think about something that you've been afraid of. Sometimes when we make mistakes, we don't want to try anymore. We want to give up. But you might just find that if you try again, just like Humpty Dumpty, you'll find your way to fly. Now it's time to talk about it. Grown-ups, this is a great time for you to share some knowledge and life lessons with your kiddos. Here are some questions that you could think about. What is something that you have been scared of? How did you overcome your fear? Have you ever had a hard time with something and made a lot of mistakes, like Humpty Dumpty with his airplane? What did you do? What would have happened if Humpty Dumpty hadn't tried again? Have you ever learned to do something that was really hard and then felt proud of yourself? These are all great things that you can talk about with your grown-ups, kiddos. If you are one of my students, I would love to hear your thoughts on Class Dojo. If not, I'm sure that you are having excellent discussions at home. Take care, guys.